Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? If you missed it over the weekend, the New Orleans Saints, just as they're about to push off from the dock here to start training camp, have agreed to a contract extension with a wide receiver, Rashid Shaheed. Adam Schefter was the first to report the news that Shaheed would be getting a contract extension with the New Orleans Saints, and that's really, I think this decision by the Saints to extend Shaheed now is fantastic news and a great decision both for Shaheed and for the New Orleans Saints. The tweet from Schefter when he first reported the news said, it noted the Saints and exclusive rights free agent wide receiver returner Rashid Shaheed reached an agreement on a 1-year, $5.2 million contract extension. He notes Shaheed was an All-Pro and Pro Bowl selection last season. The deal was negotiated by his agents, Drew Rosenhaus and Robert Bailey. So a few things here that are worth noting. Shaheed has been a big-time, big-play receiver threat or receiving threat for the Saints in 2 seasons. But he made the Pro Bowl last year and was an All-Pro, got All-Pro votes in recognition as a returner. And I mean, last year had 339 punt return yards. That was 3rd in the NFL, and that's what got him into the Pro Bowl and All-Pro recognition. Specifically on the terms of the deal, I know some people may be wondering, well, why would you sign Shaheed to a 1-year deal and $5.2 million seems like he might be worth so much more than that. So a couple of things. Remember, Rashid Shaheed is entering year 3, and the Saints signed him as an undrafted free agent, which means that going into this season, he was an exclusive rights free agent, meaning only the Saints could extend him. So they did, and his deal this year is worth $985K. He earned that contract as an undrafted free agent who had an exclusive right free agent deal with the Saints after year 2, which the Saints obviously signed him to. Now, after 2024, so after this coming season, Shaheed would have been a restricted free agent, meaning if a team would have signed Shaheed to an offer sheet, the Saints could have either matched it or matched that offer sheet or received draft compensation if Shaheed would have, at that tender value, if Shaheed would have signed with another team. But if you're the Saints and you like the player, why risk losing him after this season in a restricted free agent type deal? It just doesn't make any sense. You're going to sign him. Like you want Rashid Shaheed back after 2024. He's earned the contract, right? I mean, with a year ago, he was your second leading receiver at 716 yards behind only Chris Olave. So he's outperformed his undrafted rookie free agent contract. So you show a sign of good faith in extending and giving him a better deal because in theory, the Saints could have just said, all right, you're going to be on under contract at $985K this year, and next year we'll just wait till after the season and see whatever the max extension for a restricted free agent would be for a 1-year deal and keep you on another 1-year deal. Instead, the Saints have given him the max they could give him this year and then $5.2 million next year. So they've shown good faith in paying him more than they had to pay him, but also in line with what he's earned. So for Shaheed, it makes sense to sign this deal because now you're guaranteeing you're going to make more in 2025 than you otherwise would have as a restricted free agent. And obviously, you get a chance to stay with the team that drafted you and continue to grow and build through this. So it works for both the Saints and for the player, the terms of the deal here. I mean, the Saints could decide, hey, let's give you a 5-year contract. But there's no sense in doing that yet because, number one, you don't have to. This is generous with what they're doing. And to be very clear, you've seen a small sample size of Rashid Shaheed. You like what you've seen through 2 years, but it's still a small sample size. He didn't really explode onto the scene as a rookie. He had 28 catches for 488 yards as a rookie, averaged 15.6 yards per carry. Yes, big play threat. But last year, he almost doubled that production. A year ago, we saw Shaheed haul in 46 catches for 716 yards and 5 touchdowns, average over 17 yards per reception. It's incredible. He is a big-time home run threat, and you want to see that continue to grow and develop during his time with the New Orleans Saints. So I love the deal to give Shaheed the extension. I love the terms of the deal. It's good for the Saints. It's good for the player. Like, you see this in a lot of sports. I'll remind you, this happened in baseball with Aaron Nola and with Alex Bregman. Both guys exploded as rookies on their rookie deal. Both teams came to their respective players, signed them to $100 million deals, whereby if they had waited another 2 or 3 years, they probably would have signed deals worth like 3 times that number. But you have an opportunity signing that deal early to make some money on the front end and get to another long-term contract potentially. So that first deal, isn't as much as the deal would have been if you had waited, but you get money on the front end to protect yourself, and you're going to get to a second contract even quicker. So, and an opportunity for an even bigger payday then. So it makes a lot of sense what they did. The real question I just have is about the Saints receiver room in 2024 altogether. Chris Olave, first-round draft pick, has had a magnificent start to his NFL career. The concussions notwithstanding, but he, on the field, has given you confidence in moving on from Michael Thomas, because Michael Thomas was your one, and you drafted Chris Olave to replace him effectively, and you hit. I mean, Olave last year in his second year had 1,123 receiving yards. So, 87 catches, 1,100 yards, 5 touchdowns. Olave's been a true, legit number one. And we all like Rashid Shaheed for all the reasons we just said. He's a dynamic, young receiver in the NFL, elite game-breaking speed, over the top, average over 17 yards per reception as a rookie. No, forgive me, it was, 17.4 as a rookie and 15.6 last year in year 2. But after that, man, this is one of the biggest question marks that we have in Saints camp is, after Olave and Shaheed, who do you have? I mean, at this point a year ago, we're going, man, you got Chris Olave, you got Rashid Shaheed. You had veteran players at that position that you really liked. And we were looking at Michael Thomas going, hey, I don't need you to be Michael Thomas of 2019. I just need you to be Michael Thomas where you can be a number 3 receiver. Can you give me 50 catches for 700 yards? Like, that would have been a great season. Like the season Rashid Shaheed had, 46 for 716 and 5 scores. Michael Thomas is a number 3 last year. That'd been great. But Thomas was injured, and played in just 10 games. But he was pacing for a pretty fantastic season. I mean, those 10 games, Michael Thomas had 39 catches for 448. He would have exceeded 50 catches and 700 yards had he been healthy, but he wasn't. So now you look forward and you go, okay, well, what is there? You got Olave and Shaheed, who you feel good about. Next up is A.T. Perry. And A.T. Perry last year had 12 catches as a rookie. Now, late in the season, he looked good, and I like A.T. Perry. I mean, I loved it. I thought he was a steal of the draft. Late-round pick out of Wake Forest, big body. Had trouble with drops in college, but when he caught the ball, he was really special. I think he can be really good, but again, he had 12 catches last year. I mean, you went and signed Cedric Wilson. Started his career with Dallas. Last couple of years was in Miami. I mean, last year in Miami, Wilson had 22 catches for 296 and 3 touchdowns. I mean, it's just not a lot of productivity. And then you're talking about a rookie in Bub Means, a guy in Equanimous St. Brown who you brought in who has never really been a very productive receiver in his career. I mean, Stanley Morgan. You see what I mean? Like, normally you're going to keep 5 receivers and then possibly a 6th if it's a special teams type situation. Olave, Shaheed, let's call it Perry and Wilson. That's 4. Who's the 5th? Bub Means, Equanimous St. Brown, Stanley Morgan, I don't know. So as you go through camp, you feel really good about your first 2 guys, but after that is a giant question mark and something that we're going to see how it plays out here in camp. And maybe Clint Kubiak coming in gives you a lot of confidence that they can make that work. And maybe they have enough pass catchers, right? If you get Juwan Johnson back healthy, we'll see. If Alvin Kamara actually shows up to camp and can sort of find himself in the passing game again. He had 75 receptions a year ago. If Kamara can continue to find that, great. But what else? What is it? Is Taysom Hill maybe more impactful in the passing game? Foster Moreau, don't know, as far as pass catchers. But specifically at the receiver position, Olave Shaheed, you feel really good about. After that, it feels like just giant question marks across the board, as it does, quite honestly, for all of the Saints offense in 2024. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.